Regular meeting of the Gladstone City Commission for Monday, July 28th, 2014 at 7 p.m. And the first item on our agenda is going to be invocation. I was going to have somebody here tonight who was going to do that and he didn't show. So I will lead you in invocation. So all rise, please. Heavenly Father, we ask you to be with us tonight. We ask you to help us as we consider the decisions that have to be made for our community. We ask that you keep us tolerant of other views and open to other views, and to try and make the best decisions we can and to review those decisions as we go forward. These things we ask in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Will the city clerk please call the roll?
Mayor Mackey,
Here.
Commissioner Bostwick,
Here.
Commissioner Gay,
Here.
Commissioner Matnan,
Here.
Commissioner Nemechek.
Here.
All right, we're moving to public comment. We have an item on public. Well, do you want to get up, Dean? Yeah, I can get up. Grab the podium.
I want to go down to new business, item D. You got the millage, amend 214, 215 budget. My request is that I wish you consider putting the commission meetings back on live TV, because I know there's quite a few people that watched it now that you're coming into this extra money.
Any questions from the commission or comments?
We've heard that every year since I've been on the commission. I believe they previous commission, I think just the year before I got onto the commission, as a result of the cost and of course the finances.
Can't hear you.
As a result of the cost and the finances at that
I
time,
know,
they
I
decided
realize
not
that.
to do it, but it's a request that we've heard regularly.
I think I brought it up
think it's-
before.
Yeah, well, I mean, from other people, other members of the public, and I think it's definitely something worth looking at, because we need to make sure that the public knows what's going on with their city.
Right, I think, you know, I mean, I know there's quite a few people that watch it that I know of, you know, and the citizens would know more, because you can see who comes here, not many people. And you don't get much of a report in the paper. I mean, you get something, but you don't get the little details of what goes on. It would make the commission more accountable, I think.
Hey.
So anyway, I just wish, I'm just requesting that you'd put that back, you know, okay?
We do tape the meetings.
I realize
And they're
that.
aired Thursday night after City of Escanaba's council meetings.
I don't even,
And
yeah.
recently, we've also added them to our website.
Well, I don't have a computer at home.
All right, thanks, Dean. Any other public comment? Okay, moving on to, we have,
Mayor, could we be reminded how much that would cost
$15,000.
versus what we're paying now?
No, $15,000 is for Charter to put a fiber cable in place so they can be aired live.
Okay. And
So
how
even
much
if we
do
said, here's the $15,000, Charter has to do the work and get the fiber cable in place.
How much does it cost us now?
We pay Charter $150 per meeting to come and tape it for us.
I see.
$300 a month.
So then Escanaba airs it for free after their meetings.
So it's $300 a month? So we're paying $3,600 a year now,
Correct.
and it would be $15,000 to have it live.
That's just for the fiber cable. We would still pay,
We'd still
Something
pay
per-
something to have the charter
Yeah.
person here?
correct.
How much would you charge to be here?
That's not his decision.
Just thought I'd ask.
just for a little background on this, and I'm not for or against this, I think it should be discussed. The reason why the city commission stopped publishing the meetings or televising the meetings is because when I came on board, we were financially in rough shape, and we told staff, you need to tighten the belt. We need to start living within our means, and we felt as a city commission that if we were going to say that to staff, we should also tighten our belts. Times have changed. So that's a little background. We do have an introduction of Mr. Mark Palega. We just hired Mark as our electric and public works supervisor. I think you probably should take the podium and talk to us for a while, Mark.
Sure. First of all, I really appreciate the opportunity to come work for this city. This is a great opportunity for me and my family. A little bit about me, I've got 4 children, 2 younger boys, which are 4 and 6. Then I have 2 daughters who are 20 and almost 18 now. But so I got going into college, going into just getting out of diapers. So I've got it covered.
That's good family planning, right?
Yeah, so so we're looking at purchasing a house here in town, and hopefully can get that done because the 7-hour commute right now has been very rough, but it's been working out all right. I'm a Michigan State graduate. I'm a landscape architect and arborist. I've spent the past 16 years of my career in the public sector working for the city of Kalamazoo and Ottawa County. And so I enjoy serving the public, and that's what I like to leave things better than how I found them. That's really my mantra, I guess. That's how I live my life, and that's what I'm going to give you.
Commissioner Gay was in on the interview process, and Commissioner Gay had some pretty good things to say about you after the recommendation was made to hire you.
Good. Thank you.
So, when I was back in high school here in Gladstone, we used to go around in the fall with our biology teacher and have to identify certain types of trees, and he'd always find one that would stump us. So, could we stump you, or?
Well, you can try. I'll say there's not too many things I do say I'm an expert at, but I will say landscape and trees are
one of the
thing
trees
that
he
I'm.
would always take us to was a catalpa.
Catalpa, yeah.
You know what that is?
Oh yeah.
Sure. Okay.
Yeah, big long seed pods.
Yeah.
Big. Yeah.
Probably couldn't stump you then.
No, well, I don't know about that. There's always room for growth. So.
Actually, I was out. We bought some property when I worked for the city for the water and wastewater department for to dispose of our end product, our sludge. Not sludge. It's a liquid product, and it gets sprayed out of our tanker truck. Anyways, it's up by Perkins, and next to that was some corporate land that they had a European larch planted on.
Okay.
And our wastewater supervisor had a degree in forestry, and he was stumped onto what that tree was.
Okay.
And it was planted because the deer don't kill it very easy.
Right.
And it can shoot up. So
Yeah. They're
he
good.
was stumped on that one.
Okay. Well, I got to tell you, I do, the staff and people I've been interacting with, I'm very impressed with how welcoming they've been with me. And I think the public works staff and the electric staff, I'm getting to know them, and there's a wealth of knowledge within those folks that I've witnessed, and I think that's really good to build on, because I'm just one person, and I mean, I'm about team, and that's what I intend to do with those 2 departments to help bring a good team approach to getting things done.
Very good. Thanks, Mark.
Any questions?
Welcome.
Thank you.
Take care. Moving on to the Oh, I'm sorry. Eric Buckman, our water and wastewater supervisor.
Every 3 or 4 years, we have a NPDES permit inspection of our wastewater facilities. They go over our lab and condition of the plant, and I put a copy of that in your report. I don't know if anyone has any questions on it. On item number 1, I'll just go over the parts that I highlighted on there. There's some sporadic effluent violations were experienced over the past couple years. That happens at every wastewater plant. It's the grab samples, and what we try to balance out is, to us, it's more important to kill the fecal coliforms than it is to have a little higher chlorine residual. So periodically, we might be a part of a billion over on our chlorines and on one of the grab samples. And so on a monthly report, you'll just write in that you're high and explain why. And it's not something you get fined for, and it's considered a minor violation, and all they care about is that you're telling them the truth and you let them know when it's happening. The other thing is the pH, and the pH, we have problems getting below the 6.5, which is our limit. Some of our grab samples periodically will get below that. Again, the pH usually gets lower as your bacteria and your biodists are doing better work, so so you're cleaning the water up better, but you're lowering the pH. So if it was a considerable problem, we could always add some soda ash or other base to the water to bring the pH up, but they just they don't require it. So the parts I highlighted are going down a little bit. He notes that the facility is showing its age, wear and tear as noted by worn out equipment, infrastructure, and increased maintenance necessary. One of the violations was because we had a couple of our biodiscs down. In fact, we have 2 biodiscs down right now. We're getting the gear reducers rebuilt. And so the next part I had highlighted was overall, it was agreed that eventually the facility will need to conduct a project to rehabilitate and upgrade the plant to address worn out equipment and infrastructure to ensure sufficient adequacy and reliability. And under number 2, they always note that when they upgraded the plant in the 70s, they kept just the one primary clarifier. In today's world, you have to have 2 of everything, so you can take one thing down and while you're working on it and still have the ability to do primary clarification to the raw wastewater coming into the plant. So that will be part of our plant upgrade when the plant does get upgraded. And that was about all I really highlighted. Our district engineer up in Marquette, his name is Christopher Kahn, and he is in charge of our wastewater plant, and we also have a gentleman that is in charge of our biosolids that we spray up at the Perkins site too. So, are there any questions?
No.
No questions from the commission? Followed by his example, Mark. You already probably figured that out. Thank you, Eric. All right, now we're moving to the consent agenda. On the consent agenda tonight, we have the City Commission regular meeting minutes of July 14, 2014. The Planning Commission regular meeting minutes of June 24, 2014, and we have payment of bills. There is a correction neither for the City Commission. What is it? Here.
Maybe there's more. Mr. Steve Adams is supposed to be Adkins.
Adkins, yes, that was pointed out to me.
Yeah.
So, with that correction,
I move approval.
I support.
moved by Commissioner Nemechek, supported by Commissioner Bostwick to approve the consent agenda as presented. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, that motion's carried. We don't have any public hearings tonight. We don't have any unfinished business, so we're up to new business. First item is year-to-date financial review for fiscal year 2014-2015. We are what? April, May, June. You're going to do a quarterly review? Yeah, okay. Our treasurer, Ms. Schrader.
Good evening. In front of you are the year-to-date financials through the end of June. They are pretty quiet. Items right now should be probably about 25% of budget unless if they are seasonal. Tax collections are not going to show up in the financials until July, so thus these are through June, so there isn't any tax revenue reflected on these statements. Just a couple of things that I wanted to note. In the general fund, there is a revenue line item, Hannahville 2% grant, which is the grant money that we received from Hannahville for the irrigation project up at the Sports Park ball field. Also, the electric fund transfer, which is in the revenue, is the recorded revenue to pay off the public safety building that was approved in this year's budget. The corresponding expense is in the fire department. So if you take a look at that department in the general fund, You'll see a big variance there as well. Under expenses, if you look at the 441 department, that is the DPW administration. And that expense is usually allocated to the other funds based on payroll as far as where they've worked. In the street funds, which are the 202 and 203 funds, this is basically just routine maintenance for the summer and winter maintenance, so the funds are pretty much right on target. 204 fund, which is the state trunk line fund, that is basically a wash. The state reimburses us for our time and expenses for maintaining their, maintaining the M35. The DDA, which is 494, the only project they have going on right now is just the building. They are in full swing of renovating the building and getting that up and running. The harbor project is completed. The grant was closed out last fiscal year, so this is strictly just revenue as far as the seasonal dockage, gas sales. Everything's pretty much right on target there. Solid waste, electric, water, wastewater. I really don't have, there's no large variances or anything in those funds, so I really don't have much to note in those funds unless if you had any questions.
Nope.
On page 2,
I guess
where did the $30,000 come for the public safety car? The revenue?
That, he has been, he has a fund, public safety car fund that he has, that he's been kind of, saving money up.
It's a reserved fund balance, right?
Reserved fund balance, thank you, yes. It's a reserved fund balance, that he has been putting together for the past couple of years.
Where does the money come from to go into the reserve fund?
He, in any kind of savings that if he's under budget in any equipment rentals or anything like that he has, then he sets that aside in a reserve.
He also budgets a dollar amount every year. He used to pay into the equipment fund, and he wasn't seeing the value of basically what he was putting into it, you know, compared to what he was getting out of it, so he decided basically he was given permission to run his own fleet, so essentially.
So if he budgets a certain amount for a specific car and he's under budget for those expenses, the commission has allowed him to take that amount left over and put it toward, put it into a reserve fund balance.
I see. Where do ticket monies go?
That goes into the general fund.
Only if it's written under city ordinance. If it's written under state law, which is what most tickets are, that goes to fund libraries.
Okay.
So there's no incentive to go out and write a ticket to gain revenue.
Did any of that $30,000 come from the money that Mr. Olson gave?
I don't
I
think so.
don't think so, no. Mm-mm.
No?
I think they used some Olson money to purchase the hovercraft. Not all of it, but I think some of the Olson money was used to purchase the hovercraft.
Right.
And I think they've done some work on the fire trucks with Olson money.
The way Director Geyer explained it to me as far as the Olson Trust was a lot of the things a lot of the unique items or tools that they can't write grants for, they use that Olson dollar, Olson money for, that, the stuff that they need to be more effective and efficient.
Okay. Thank you.
But one additional item that I'd like to point out is, this is, financial statements are going to be added to the meetings every second commission meeting of the month. And I talked with Kim about it, and what we're going to do, instead of having it a staff report every month, what we're going to do is add it under the board and commissioner reports, commission reports. And it'll just be basically for informational purposes, or if you have any questions, you know, you can ask questions at that time and you know, have the questions answered. So it'll be the second meeting of every month on the agenda from this point forward.
Questions, comments from the commission? Thank you. Next item on our agenda is we're looking at amending our 2014-2015 budget for the general fund to reflect the millage rate that was adopted. I think it was at our last meeting where we levied an additional 1.8236 mills. So in effect, the general fund will have more revenue than was planned on when we started the budget for the 2014-2015 budget. So had to turn over to the city manager.
So page 2 there, I just identified 2014 taxable value times the millage rate, 1.8236, will generate $188,000. DDA gets a share of that for the parcels that are within the DDA, so the DDA share is $18,450. So I'd like to add that to the DDA's city line item, $18,450. The budget that was adopted for the 2014-2015 fiscal year in March of 2014, we were transferring $31,276.70 from fund balance. So I'm going to zero that out, make that whole, which would leave $139,091 additional general fund revenue. So to amend the general fund tax revenue line item by $139.91. And just for informational purposes, our 3/31/14 auditors have been here, but until their numbers are final, we don't have an audited, you know, fund balance. But unaudited, we're at $375,956. A year or so, the commission kind of adopted the policy to have 2 months operations on hand at all times in the general fund, so that's about $300,000, which would leave $75,956 available. So right now, I'm just proposing to add that $139.91 to the existing $75,000, which would give us about a $215,000 general fund balance. And then, as I explained in my staff report, the items that we're still looking at, staffing levels in public safety, replacing the aging fleet in the Public Works Department, replacing or repairing the fire truck, and further funding for the Public Works facility. If you could give us a little bit of time on that, we do have a couple subcommittees working on some, a recommendation for the fleet and stuff, and the fact that our new electric and public works supervisor has only been on the job 2 weeks. He's already seen the plans for the building and stuff. We're trying to get him up to speed as fast as we can, but would definitely, you know, like his opinion on the building and replacing the fleet. So I'm estimating 60 days. If we're done in 30, we'll be back in 30 days, but I'm estimating 60 days. At that time, I'd like to have a budget workshop like we did in February and go through the full commission, all the department heads, and kind of discuss these in detail. And then we can, at the next commission meeting, amend the budget as we see, you know, necessary from that budget workshop.
Is that acceptable to the commission? Yeah. Sounds good.
So we're looking at 60 days out before we have recommendations.
Correct.
So realistically, based on what we've set as far as a minimum, we have roughly, what'd you say, 215?
215 available.
215 roughly available.
And that's not going to cover the list completely. That 274 is would have covered that list completely, so.
No, but one of the things that you can't partially fund or, would be a public safety officer.
Right.
There's no way to partially fund that, so if that's a priority, that's a known cost right now.
The only thing is I would say about that is, I'm going to push for that officer. I know you're gonna push for that officer to be hired. That officer won't have the full impact in this fiscal year because we've delayed hiring. Heck, from going forward in previous year, in succeeding years, it will.
Right.
Paul and I talked about that today. I said, even if the commission amends the agenda tonight and says, hire a full-time public safety officer, we won't have boots on the ground until he estimated in November.
Yeah, it's a good 3 to 4 month
Yeah.
process.
So end of September timeframe to set up a budget workshop,
End of when?
September? This is July 28th, August, September.
Right during green season.
Oh, October, early October?
No, I'll be in North Dakota. We'll teleconference from, we'll
Yeah.
teleconference
Deer
from
season.
Ashley, North Dakota, yeah.
So any other comments from the commission? I'll make one comment. I think that when I voted for this, I voted for that so that we could start addressing capital needs, not spend more money. So I will definitely be looking to see that we're spending the money on the things we haven't been doing. Otherwise, we'll find ourselves going back to where we were before. And we should have, if we did do something like that, there'd be no wonder we ended up there. We need to take this new revenue and start addressing some of the things that our supervisors keep telling us we're not addressing right now in our budgets that we all know have to be done.
I agree. I don't know why it takes so long. I mean, if you felt a little profit pressure, maybe it would be shorter. It seems like, I'm just,
Well, let me
I'm
tell-
just a little frustrated because I'm not used to things taking so long.
I'm not defending the action, and I'm not saying that I don't agree with what you just said, but on the other hand, there is a very big difference between an entity that's organized with a profit motive and an entity that's organized more with a service motive where there's really no profit. Decisions are made differently. That comment's been made by other people who served in the commission as well, that they're frustrated by how government does things, but I think that's the nature of government.
I don't think it has to be.
Maybe.
The one thing I would say we could quantify pretty easily is the fire truck, as far as what that's gonna cost. I know they've got multiple subcommittee meetings, because they
Yeah, I
gotta
know.
figure out what they want.
Well, we have drawings for the Public Works building,
Right.
and we know what a public safety officer costs.
Well, but the Public Works building, my new director, just in his 2 weeks here, would like to propose some changes, just from what he's seen in other buildings.
That's fine, but it's not going to change the monthly payment that much.
Don't upset the apple cart, Mark. No, that's great. Just joking.
I just saw it.
I mean, we must have some idea of what the most important item is.
If you'd like to amend the budget tonight, feel free. All I'm saying is my staff and I are not ready to make a recommendation tonight.
Is that okay with the commission?
Well, as long as it doesn't take more than another 60 days, that's fine.
I will say this about the fire, I'm sorry, you're up.
I was just going to say, I think the budget workshop is a great idea, because I think, we may all have a difference of opinion on what our priorities are. So I think that's a good thing, we can get that straightened out so we can move forward,
Is early September better, or when this?
Before September 15th. It's not that big of a deal whenever we can fit it in.
I'm okay except for the second.
I don't know why it couldn't be in August. I mean,
Because
you
we're
can
hearing
only
from-
say so many words about it. I mean,
Well, here's why. And let's just be blunt about it. We can push the issue if we want to. We're the bosses around here, but the staff is telling us they're not ready to tell us what their input is yet. And so is that okay with us or isn't it okay with us?
Am I hearing more from you that maybe you want the commission to be more of a starting point as far as letting staff know what we feel our priorities
well,
are?
I can't gather in my mind what's going to take staff so long to come up with something. I can't fathom it. I mean, if you look for 2 hours at it, I mean, what more can you think about? I mean, why does it take so long? I don't understand.
I don't know that I could answer that question, so I'm going to
I
ask the city
mean, if
manager
a
if you
staff
want to answer
person
that.
has to study and research and go through the whole litany of mental gymnastics, I mean, that's something,
Okay,
but
I'm
it's
gonna-
not that complicated.
Okay, I'm going to go back to the commission again, one final time. Do you want to push it forward faster, or do you want to wait for the staff's timetable? It's our decision tonight.
What is the staff's timetable? 60 days? I can't fathom it, but I guess that's the way it is.
Well, the other option would be to, I guess, to push like you said, a budget workshop, including everyone, and we could make the decisions at that point and then go to the next meeting and do it, rather than staff talk about it and then come to us and us talk about it. If we all talked about it at the same time, would that make it quicker? I don't know. You'd have to tell me. Would it make it? That's,
I guess I don't understand what staff's going to be doing all this time. If I had a better grasp of that, maybe I could understand why it would take so long.
From my understanding, the subcommittee for the new fire truck hasn't even met yet. They just got done, Paul was on vacation, they had the firemen's tournament. It needs to get on their agenda. They meet once a month?
Yes.
The volunteers
I
meet
can
once
tell
a
you
month.
about that specific item. I will be going to their next meeting. I'll be getting a hold of the volunteer fire chief. His name is Tiger Van Brocken, because I have received some significant input from some citizens who feel like maybe we need to take a second look at that, and perhaps that truck can be refurbished and it doesn't need to be replaced. And I'm going to be presenting that idea to the fire department as something additional for them to consider at their next meeting. So that particular item I can speak about. That one, I'm not sure whether we want to buy a new truck, which of course had a price tag of
I
$400,000.
understand the fire truck. Yeah. That I
well,
understand.
I do have a question on that, though. We discussed, how long ago was it that we
Gave permission.
gave them
Assigned the
permission to
subcommittee?
start looking, and they haven't had a meeting yet?
As far as I know, no.
That doesn't sit well with you.
I don't know.
It does not sit well with me, no.
Well, I would like you to be present at that volunteer fire department meeting. The reason why, and any other commissioner can be as well, is because the reason why this came up in the first place, I went to a volunteer fire department meeting because I know when I worked here, they a lot of times felt like they did a lot of significant work for the community, and they didn't get a whole lot of attention. And I thought it was respectful to go to their meeting rather than expect them to come here. And I invited you along with so I can introduce you to the guys, and we got a lot of good input from them on their turf instead of our turf, because frankly, they've told us they don't always feel they get respected here at our meeting. And so I'm going to go back there, and I'm going to ask any of you guys who want to come with me to that meeting to sit down and have a frank conversation. And I tell them right out, call me anything you want. You guys feel you have a need for this truck, I'll sit down and talk with you about it.
Well, I guess, I would think it would be a priority for them. Why haven't they had a meeting yet? That's the question
Well, I guess
I'd
we'll
like an
find out
answer
if we
to.
go to that meeting.
Well, they told me before the parade it was the old truck they wanted to replace, not the,
Right.
It is,
Right.
it is.
yeah, I mean, it wasn't the, yeah, okay. Is that a tanker?
Neither one of our trucks are considered tankers. They're
No.
both pumpers primarily.
Okay.
We don't really need a tanker because most of the places where we fight fire, we have a public water system that we can tap into a hydrant. If we do
Okay.
need a tanker, we'll generally call a township that's surrounding us to come with a tanker because they don't have a public water system, so they do have tankers. All right,
Thank you.
so I guess we're okay with the timetable on where we're going with the amended budget for the general fund?
Unless staff can put it together quicker. I mean,
So we do need a motion to amend the DDA revenue and the general fund revenue.
Oh, yeah.
And I get a motion.
And for clarification, the amendment is simply adding this revenue that was approved at a previous meeting to the budget. It is not allocating where it's going yet. That's the purpose of the future meetings.
For both the
Just-
general fund and the DDA fund.
Correct, just so that's clear. I'd move that we amend the general fund budget to include $139,090 real property tax revenue and DDA budget to include $18,450 in real property tax revenue.
I'll second.
Moved by Commissioner Gay, supported by Commissioner Mattinen to amend the general fund and the DDA Fund budgets for the additional revenue resulting from the additional millage that was levied on the L40 29 this year. All those in favor of that motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, that motion is carried. We have a POLC union letter of agreement that we're going to be going into an executive session on, union negotiations. So we'll push that to the end of our meeting. We'll go to the city manager's report.
Just wanted to update, there was a complaint that I received, CC'd to the mayor anonymously, so this is our only way to communicate back to whoever sent us the letter regarding the crosses on the sidewalk. We did some research, we did approve a Run for the Cross event for a local church. We did not authorize them to put crosses on the sidewalks. Their phone is disconnected, so the only communication I could get to them was a letter. I gave them about 7 to 10 days to remove the crosses off the sidewalk. We will monitor that, and if they're not removed, we will have further contact with them and get that taken care of. This coming Wednesday night, Business After Hours is right here downtown Gladstone from 5 to 7. Water's Edge Chiropractor and other local businesses, and the city is helping a portion of that as well. So come on down and network downtown Gladstone Wednesday night, 5 to 7. I have a new business to announce in the Rialto Center. Ricky McCarty, UPW Pro Wrestling. 1 to 2 times per month. Events include pro wrestling shows, stand-up comedy, and other events such as birthday parties occasionally. Their expected turnouts 100 to 200. The capacity of the building is 300 to 400. This application for zoning compliance has been approved, and it's going through the channels for appropriate initials. So trying to announce new businesses as they come in.
Pro wrestling in the Rialto?
Yep.
I just heard on the radio today they've got a show scheduled already.
What next, no?
Just for your information, June 6, 2014, we had an incident by our beach house out in the water. There was a gentleman driving his jet ski, and he ran over our chair that we have out in the water there for where our lifeguard sits. He submitted a claim for just over $2,900 to repair his jet ski. MMRMA, our insurance carrier, denied the claim. He has decided to pursue this through small claims.
Hold on. Let me digest this for a minute. He hit our chair and then filed a claim with us.
He's going to claim it wasn't properly marked, no doubt. We do get legal counsel from our liability and property carrier, so they will represent us.
Yep.
Okay.
Cummings, McClory, Davis, and Acho. So we have filled out our necessary part of the paperwork, and that will be going to District Court Judge Pearson in Escanaba. So I'll keep you posted on how that turns out. Teaching Family Homes is a company, their main headquarters, they have a campus up in Marquette. They are having a 24th annual Tour to UP bike tour. And they have asked me to, just some information about the bike tour there. They've asked me to attend their opening ceremonies Sunday morning, August 3rd at 8:30 at the Gladstone High School. Most of the people that are taking the bike tour are staying here locally in Gladstone the previous night, so August 2nd. Thank you very much. And they bike all the way up to Marquette, have a 3-day layover there, and come back to Gladstone on August 7th, where they'll have closing ceremonies and stuff again at the high school. So many people may have not heard of Teaching Family Homes. I sit on the United Way board, United Way local agency that all money they receive gets divided out to agencies like Teaching Family Homes, and United Way does give Teaching Family Homes, I think it's $5,000. They request and based on the budget are allocated some money, so all that money stays locally here. Teaching Family Homes does reach out to Delta County agencies and help abused and neglected children of our community, and so it's a very good cause, helps out local people. Some communication from the state of Michigan. In your packet tonight was an informational letter from Kirk Studel, Director of Department of Transportation, basically giving us kudos and thanking us for the hard work we did this winter, this rough winter that we had. Then not long after that, I don't know if they were looking for brownie points or what, but you know, FEMA has, if you saw the TV6 news tonight, FEMA has denied a portion of what UP Communities has
Only 10 million.
Right. They've awarded 10 million in damages. What that is to us, Eric maybe have done the math by now, but I'm not sure. A lot of the costs that we submitted, we will not get reimbursed for.
The most interesting part of the report I heard on TV tonight is nobody knows how they made their decision
Right.
as to what they decided to fund and what they didn't decide to fund.
Well, they did not fund the let runs, and that is a large cost. But they've requested FEMA Region 5 seek a formal determination from FEMA headquarters regarding eligibility of the let runs. So maybe they'll change their mind, I don't know. And then for cities to help recover some of our costs, MEDC has set aside $6 million that we need to apply for. Eligible communities, based on certain criteria, can apply for up to $1 million. So,
So MEDC was able to set aside $6 million that all FEMA could muster together is 10 million?
so I'm communicating weekly, bi-weekly with our local representatives. It just puzzles me. I don't understand their, you know,
Diapers to buy on the border and stuff, I
process.
guess.
And the last thing I have is the local art that you see here in City Hall. Dr. Mary Cretin's art gallery is from the, these are all people that are members of the Boniface Art Center. A couple people and I went over there and chose a few prints to display here. So for these artists, I'm going to have an open house Thursday night, August 21st from 6:30 to 8. We'll send out invitations and everything, just kind of a reception, promoting their artwork and thanking them for allowing us to display it here. We did have a real nice, if you remember the picture right here with the canoe on the water. A gentleman came in last week and said he promised that picture would be available this past weekend at the Marquette Art on the Rocks show. So he says, if I don't sell it this weekend, I'll bring it back to you. If he sells it, he'll bring us back something else. So that was nice of him.
Commissioner Nemechek was mentioning that there were some prices on them, and I looked at the one I really like, I didn't see a price on, so.
Oh.
That means it's priceless.
So there'll be more details on that coming up.
I got a phone call from Commissioner Nemechek today, and during the course of our conversation, we talked about Dr. Mary Cretin's. And we are able to do a lot of things in this community that we would not be able to do if it wasn't for her generous endowment she left behind. And so we could always use more.
I get comments from a few people saying, you know, how can the city afford all these young people weeding and watering and doing all this? And what they don't realize is that, you know, she made that donation that really aids in a lot of that expense, and it's not coming right out of tax dollars.
Right.
It's donated money. Pretty awesome.
Yep, that's all I have.
Very good. Moving on to city commission and committee reports and board and commission reports. Anything from the other commissioners that you want to bring up in that area? I'll remind you that I go to DDA meetings, and if there's anything of significance, I bring it back here. Parks and Recreation, the same thing. Their big project they're working on right now is the walkway to the border with Wells Township and Escanaba Township. along the US 2 and 41 corridor. And we haven't had a joint government meeting for a while, so I do try and attend those as well. Okay, we're moving back to public comment, if there's any public comment. Hearing none, we'll move to city commissioner comments, starting with Commissioner Nemechek.
Is that pathway hopefully going to be, it's 1 point some million dollars, or 1.7 million, something like that? Is that something that a grant has been applied for, or?
Well, they were going to look at millage, but the Parks and Recreation Director is quite certain, and she's been working with the city manager to fund it through grant dollars. So there'll be no request from the taxpayers for any millage to help construct it.
Okay.
Hopefully, it will lead to extensions into Escanaba, starting at Wells Township's border and leading through Wells Township to the city of Escanaba, which we won't be a part of. But it should help them to make the decision to continue that pathway. And I'd like to see a pathway going towards Rapid River along the road of the old highway, which is now called North Lakeshore Drive. That's probably way out there, but walkable communities is one of the big things that the Michigan Municipal League, which represents all cities in Michigan, really pushes really hard. So.
When one of our visitors talked about being live on the cable, obviously I have coffee with and know a lot older people, older people like me, that's been mentioned more than once. And I'm surprised how many people watch the meetings.
I can't tell you how many times I've heard it in my 5 years on the commission.
Yeah. But I mean, more would watch probably if it was live.
Sure they would.
I'm sure. I don't know.
Well, you heard that within 60 days we expect staff to come back to us and tell us where we might consider spending some of that new money, and so I'm sure that will be part of their debates as well. Commissioner Bostwick?
The only thing I have is I read, I think it was Thursday or Friday, there was a letter to the editor about someone that a volunteer fire department wanted to be in the parade, and they were charging $10 per vehicle. So I don't know if that's true or not. The 4th of July parade.
We charge for people to be in the parade.
Right. Do you charge for like each police car $10 per vehicle?
No, per entrant. They
Okay.
can, then they need to tell us how many cars they have, how many walkers, how many vehicles.
Is there a reason? I mean, I don't know who's in charge of doing the fees.
City.
The city.
City is?
Yeah.
I was just wondering, for public safety vehicles, why there's a fee?
Well, there are varying fees, as I understand it.
Yeah.
No, I was just,
I mean,
Political people are 40. There's
Actually-
profits and for-profits and nonprofit fee.
You asked the question, who's in charge of this? The
Yes.
city's in charge of it. You're a
Okay.
representative of the city, so you're
Right.
actually in charge of it. You didn't know that, and I
No.
don't fault you for not knowing it, but
yeah,
So-
because I guess I didn't know that when we accepted the fees that it said, like, you know, a list of all the fees that there were for like.
I asked the same question and found out that this is not new. This has been going,
Right.
this has been the case for 5 or 6 years.
We do give out first, second, and third place prizes, cash prizes
And then
for,
fees.
following the theme and,
there is a cost in putting on a parade, and I don't
Yeah.
think a lot of people recognize that. I'm not being critical of the comment, because I've heard that read that comment as well, but to put together a parade, there's a lot of liability. I can remember one year when I was doing the parade for the city, and somebody wanted to put some great big draft horses in, and they were going to put blinders on them and all that kind of stuff because they spook easy. And I went to one of our public safety officers and I said, "What do you think?" And he said, "Don't ask me." He says, "Don't expect me to shoot one of them if they go wild either." Because, they could spook and run somebody over. So a parade is not something to be taken lightly. So that's what I would offer back as a comment.
Right. And so just for this person to know that it wasn't $10 per vehicle, it's $10 for the organization.
right.
Okay.
I think,
And nonprofits get a lower rate.
I think if you did a profit and loss statement, you'd
Yeah.
probably, it's a significant cost to the city.
No, I just wanted this person's answer to, get brought back, so they would know why. That's it.
Commissioner Gay?
I have nothing this evening.
Commissioner Matna?
Just as a reminder, if you haven't been thinking about it, just to maybe think about attending the Michigan Municipal League Annual Convention in Marquette this year. It's the first time it's been in the UP, maybe ever. It's October 15th through the 17th. It's a wonderful opportunity to network, and there's some great workshops I know that are going to be planned for us to attend that maybe could be helpful in certain areas of the city.
City clerk has something in our package tonight for that.
Yes.
If you talk to the city clerk, I'm sure she can arrange for that, for you to attend.
That's all I have.
Okay. I shared, we had a meeting with some of our retirees over an insurance issue. I shared the results of that with the commission. I thought that had a successful conclusion. I've been in contact with the retirees since, and they're satisfied with the meeting we had. I think we were able to throw some things up on the table so that we all understood where we were. Commissioner Gay asked the question about mutual aid with public safety, specifically the police mutual aid more than the fire mutual aid, and we received a response from our public safety director out on our email. I shared a letter from a citizen, and you've got some. I shared it with Commissioner Gay earlier and Commissioner Nemechek earlier. Commissioners Bostock and Mattinen just got the letter tonight. I will tell you that one of the specific concerns of that letter, I received a phone call from that party who wrote the letter, and I will tell you the name of the officer. The officer is Terry Larson. He's a day officer, and she was giving him a huge compliment for following up on some of the complaints she had, and I passed that on to the director as well. So the citizen was quite happy with the response of staff on that. I went to a QPAD meeting. I'm the city's representative of the QPAD, and there were several items in there that I wrote notes on for the staff. They do offer help to communities with the winter freeze grants. They have some archives that they're probably going to move to Northern Michigan University. Eric might be interested in going over and taking a look at it. You might have old water and wastewater plants that you'd be interested in. You can go and look at what they've got. You can lay your hands on anything if you thought you needed it. And Governor Schneider is making money available regionally. Again, this is when more than one local unit of government is cooperating with another one to do specific projects. And Governor Schneider's big concerns on regionally are energy in the UP. They told some horror stories at the QPAD meeting about what it would cost the city of Escanaba customers if certain things happen with our MISO transmission grid. And I have not followed up with WPPI, which is our energy provider, but I believe we would be insulated from that because of the provider we have for our electric customers. So once again, I think we've made a smart decision on that. They're also interested in bringing in more broadband and cellular access. There are places in UP where you may as well throw your cell phone out because you just aren't going to get out. And then, of course, educational opportunities that lead to jobs. And Commissioner Gay and I have mentioned several times, we've been talking with the Gladstone schools about adding some additional vocational offerings so that more kids get the opportunity to get some vocational training, which leads to jobs straight out of high school that you don't need any higher education for. So Governor Schneider is pushing money that way as well. Farmers market today. I was down at the farmers market today. I don't know, maybe it's too soon to tell, but I think it's a hugely successful venture. Lots of people attending. Lots of activity. So
I stopped there just before the meeting, and Amber said that most of the vendors were sold out. Well,
that
there
means
was a
they'll
lady-
come with more next week.
There was a lady there with 2 pieces of cheesecake left at a reduced price.
You didn't grab them?
I did not.
Well, I stopped to have a conversation with the city manager because she told me she'd be there, and I was aware that she would be there anyways because she's normally in attendance. And I saw the cheesecake, so I brought home some cheesecake for my wife with some blueberry topping.
Oh, you did?
Guess what?
Well, when I was
Unpopular
there,
in my
they
house.
had reduced the price.
Well, I probably paid the higher price. but-
Cheesecake was older too, I suppose.
Yeah, I suppose. You don't get too many of those kind of things past me.
Yeah.
I also got a letter. There's a FEMA meeting at Bay College on August 14th. Did you get a copy of that? Okay, well, I'm going to give that to you. You might want to send it back to us and remind us of it. It's especially concerned with floodplains, and floodplains is something, of course, the community on the lake has to pay attention to, especially when issuing building permits. So you might want to send somebody over to that meeting. With that, I will go to city clerk comments.
If you can see the election equipment in the back, we're gearing up for the August 5th election. We'll be testing that and getting it all ready. Absentee voter ballots are available. They have been for a while. I will also be here on Saturday from 9 to 2 of people who are either going to be out of town or not available on election day. They can come down and see me on Saturday or anytime during the week and get a ballot through that process. And then just reminders, in your packets, the MML 2014 convention, the registration, if you can get that to me when you're looking at it, how many days you're able to attend, if all of them. The mobile workshops are the main things that need pre-registration. So if you can fill that out and then bring it down or, send it to me and I can take a look at that and
Pretty
get.
pricey, isn't it?
Yeah, but.
$450. Wow.
For the whole thing, but that includes your, some of your meals and everything.
Oh,
and
does it?
the
I would
other
hope so
stuff,
for that
and
price,
then
right?
And,
Wow.
the mobile workshops in that are additional, or whatever, and you don't have to attend those. But if you're there and want to participate, I just need to pre-register you for that. So if you could get with me, hopefully soon, if we can get people registered and taken care of, I can do it all as one for City of Gladstone. For whoever or staff that wants to go. So you'll see that as a reminder as they're coming through. And then also the lunch with the governor registration. Not sure if they did a direct mailing to you guys or not, but they did to us here. So August 14th, 11 a.m., the lunch with the governor. And heard back from most. Was Matt, if you're available or not available?
Not sure yet.
Okay.
Did you get 2 for me?
Yeah. Yep. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So if you can let me know, I can get that registered. The tickets they'll send right here, and then I can get them to you guys. So
Thank you
that's it
again.
for now.
Thank you again, Kim.
Mm-hmm.
All right, we're back to item C on our new business, the POLC union letter of agreement. We had some communication from our POLC union, which represents our command officer, Sergeant Larson, and 7 public safety officers. And I think we're going to go into a closed session on that.
I move that we go into executive session to discuss labor negotiations.
I'll second.
Moved by Commissioner Gay, supported by Commissioner Gay to go into closed session to discuss the communication from the POLC union. And I have to do a roll call. You have to do a roll call vote for this, correct?
Yes.
Commissioner Gay,
Yes.
Commissioner Matnin,
Yes.
Commissioner Nemechek,
Yes.
Mayor Mackey.
Yes. We will go into closed session. We will eventually come out and we'll have some comments about what we can't take any action except in public. With that, we're temporarily out of the room.